Chef here. Welcome to this Ink It Up tutorial, which I'm calling The Bugs and the Bees. I recently purchased this really cute bundle. It contains the Ladybug Builder Punch. And let me get this one out. The Hello Ladybug stamp set. When you purchase them together, you save 10%. Well, I was ready to craft with it, and then I received my swaps, which totally inspired me. If you missed my video on the swaps from this mini catalog, please check out that video, and you're going to see cards which inspire me. And I'm inspired in many other ways, and I'm going to keep on going with making some projects. Well, this particular bundle, I'm going to show you where it's at in the catalog, and stick around till the end because I'll show you some other Ladybug projects at the end. This is on page 20, but you don't need the catalog. You don't need the paper catalog, I should say, to purchase this. You can just go to the website and you can get this bundle. So it says here on page 80, it shows you again. Let's see if it's any different. If it I think it shows it a little bit bigger when it talks about the bundles. So we'll be using this. We'll be using a hive embossing folder, which goes with that. Okay, page 80. Yeah, here's another sample. So cute, right? So it's just a fun thing. And to be able to make bees out of it, I mean, it just makes me love it even more, right? So we'll be doing a couple cards at the same time because that's how I roll. We're going to be using the ink colors because I think they go really well with this theme I've set up here, because one of the colors that I wanted to use was called Bumblebee. So that's the color. That's the color the bee is going to be, Bumblebee. So I thought, well, why not use so then that just led me to, why not use the ink colors? Misty Moonlight, Magenta Madness. I could have used Cinnamon Cider for part of the card because these colors, here, I could use just Jade. I brought them all out to show you. So these are the 5 ink colors. They're all retiring. Why are they retiring? Because they've been around for 2 years. So they're retiring next month. And then at the beginning of May, when we get the new catalog, we'll have more ink colors. So these are called the 2020 to 2022 ink colors. So as of May, when we get the new annual catalog, these 5 colors are going to go away. Magenta Madness, Just Jade, Misty Moonlight, Bumblebee, which kind of led me on this whole journey because I was going to use Bumblebee for the project, and then I said, well, what will go with Bumblebee? And that's how I ended up with all this other stuff. Okay, and then Cinnamon Cider. So we're not going to use Cinnamon Cider, or we may use Just Jade, but I really liked the way that the Magenta Madness card backgrounds came out. So just to save time, I've already made the card background and these little pieces here. But I figured it would be fun to let you see the magic of embossing. So let's just kind of do that first because then I can get this big clunky thing off my table, right? Now, there's a smaller machine called the mini embossing machine, which is 20% off this month. However, you can't use this embossing folder with it. You have to use, see this one, that's the back of it. This is the larger one. The embossing folder I'm about to show you needs to use you need the big machine for it. But they do make embossing folders for the mini machine. They're just thinner. So let's look at this and tell you about the sandwich, because you have to understand the sandwich when you're using this embossing machine. So let's always put down the first plate, and then let's use it as hints of how to do our crafting, right? So we're going to put it down and go, plate number 1. And then you're like, well, what's all this? Well, it depends. What's all this depends on what kind of embossing folder I have. This happens to be a 3D embossing folder. Okay, it's called the Hive 3D embossing folder. Let me just reach around and see if I have handy, you know, what's it called? I'm trying to think of the name of it. Gingham embossing folder. If I had that nearby, I could show you the difference in the width, but it's okay. I don't have that nearby. But see how thick it is? It's a 3D embossing folder. So we have to use, and it's called Hive, and it goes good with the bees here. So we're going to have to use this. We're going to have to use plate 1 and plate 4. And that's it, right? That's it. None of these other, I don't need any of these things. I don't need all this stuff. I just need this one. It comes with the machine, plate 4. That's it. That's my sandwich, okay? So let's stick a piece of, well, I could cut it first to the size I need it, but we'll cut it later. I would normally cut it first to the size I need it, but let's just stick it in there. Close the embossing folder. Make sure you put it hinged first in there. Put plate number 4 on top and roll it through. Okay, so watch the magic of what happens to the Misty Moonlight. I could have done tone on tone in embossing too, which would look nice. I'll show you an example of that because I'm inspired by a card from my upline named Hattie. But look at that. Isn't that cool? So it debosses. Well, the part that says Stampin' Up. So you turn it over, and I like this side. I just put this side face up. I don't know why. This side looks more like a beehive. So maybe we'll do it this way this time. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, right? So when I want to try to go for water bubbles, I kind of use this side. But I'm going to go ahead and use I like the raised side better. It's just me. Personal preference. All right, so let's put that on the floor. Get that out of the way. Now I'm done that little step here of our tutorial. And now I can pull in all these other things. And I can pull in let me get rid of these. I'll leave this here for reference for a moment until we don't have room for it. We'll get rid of the plates. All right, I think I said I already made the card for you, so we don't really need to use the trimmer, right? I've already made the card for you. But it's an A2 card, which is, so it's an 8.5, right? 8.5 by 5.5, and then it's scored at 4 1/4. So it's an A2 card. Just Google A2 card. Let's not have to do that part. Okay, so we're gonna do all the other parts. We do have to trim this down a little bit, so I can get the trimmer out of the way after I trim these down. So let's go ahead and make these little pieces. We're gonna make a couple of them at the same time. 2.5. It just seemed to have enough room that way. After I do these 2.5, then I had enough room for like my card design to show through, my little flowers and things. And plus you can get 2 of them out of the piece I had already cut. I had a lot of these made from my Celebration Card Club. You may recall that we did some sea otter cards with these, right? For the Celebration Card Club that we did on the series. All right, so good. Now we have these pieces. All right, let's start taking some notes here. Y'all want to know, so 2.5. Oh, actually, I should have told you the height. It's 4 by 2.5. 4 times 2 1/2. Okay, Hive, 3D, Misty Moonlight. All right, it's an in color. I hope you can see all that. All right, now let's do the bumblebee. Is going to be the same. It's going to be the 4 inches. Well, actually, let's put the other part first. Let's put 5 1/4 because we're going to do like length, right, times width. 4, bumblebee. It's kind of like one word for our, I think it's like one word on our color. Here, let's see how they, yeah. See how they put, it's one word, bumblebee. Okay, we're going to get the bumblebee ink. And we're going to do some tone-on-tone stamping. Let's move all this off to the side. Let's move this over here as a, what do you call it, as a guide. Okay, as a guide. Let's put a couple of these down, these pieces of bumblebee. And let's start stamping with the tone-on-tone stamping. So let's get a stamping block. Let's get the Hello Ladybug. Let's pull out this really cool flower. I want to start with the flower. And you're going to lay it like this, like lay it flat side up, and then you're going to attach your stamping block to it. Or attach it to your stamping block. Open up your bumblebee ink. And you're going to stamp onto your mat first. Just to make sure we have good ink absorption and that there's no like cooties stuck on there, right? There could be like a piece of hair, a piece of lint, whatever. And then I'm just going to start doing the corners here. Okay, and we'll do the other corner sort of like that. And then you're not going to attach this yet, but you need this as a guide. You're going to say, okay, well, I want some flowers sticking out from under here, so I want to kind of do one like that, right? So it sticks out a little bit from under there. That'll be there, so like something like that. Okay, and then we want a couple other like leaves, maybe a couple sticking out up there a little bit. Don't worry about stamping over here, right? Because you're covering this up, right? With that, like you're covering that, so don't stamp over there. And we might want to stamp a little bit of leaves right there. Okay, and we're down here because we're going to be putting a sentiment kind of right there, so that you don't need to put too much in the middle. We'll do the next one. We'll put something right there in the middle. Put the sentiment over it. So it really doesn't matter, but kind of just going for that. So we'll put one there. Every card is going to be different. I encourage you to, change it up as much as you want. Use my design, whichever, but you can change it up as well. using whatever colors and things that are available to you. Okay, I'm liking that one. But like I said, I'm going to have a sentiment covering it, so it really don't matter. Let's see if I can fit another. Nah, can't fit another one there. But there is another kind of flower on there. All right, I'm done, except I need a little bit of this ink later to do some, when I do my sentiment, I need a little bit of that ink for my blending brush. I might just be able to dip right into there. Okay, so now we need some Misty Moonlight. So we're going to open up the Misty Moonlight ink. Let's open that up, and we're going to stamp. We're going to do my friend and then the hello. So let's do that. What I tend to do when I'm doing my sentiments, I tend to figure out what size my sentiment is first. That's my own personal preference. So I'm going to, this is called the double oval punch. I should have cut this down some. So we don't want to waste like more, we don't want to waste it. Right? If we're only cutting out an oval, let's cut this down some. Otherwise, I end up having to cut the white part, which wouldn't have been a problem, right? It wouldn't have been a problem to cut extra white parts because I could have used them. But for this case, this part's going to be done with another kind of paper. So let's get a couple of these, and we're going to put those down. And now for this, I like to use, when I'm doing sentiments, I like to use my little pieces of rubber. It's called the silicone mat. Let's see where that is. Okay. It just helps when I'm stamping the sentiments. So we'll put that down. We'll put that down. Okay, and let's put this little bumblebee over there for a moment. All right, we need the my friend. Okay, and then we'll do the hello afterwards. I always do the bigger, if I'm doing two sentiments, I do the bigger one first. So let's get out the hello. And then we need this little dot. See these little dots? I'm going to put this real close. See that? We need these little dots. That's going to be Misty Moonlight too. So do everything that you need for that color. So first the thing we're doing in this color is this little one. This my friend. So we're going to say, because it's going to say hello, my friend. So we're going to tap, 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 and, you know, put this over there. I got to put on my glasses and see if, am I even on the mark here? I'm just using scrap paper. Oh, not really yet. All right, that's good. That's good. That's a good stamped image. All right, got a good stamped image. And now we're going to put my friend right there. Hold it for 3 seconds. This one has a little weird thing on it. You know what? I've been using the heck out of that punch. Sometimes I get little, see the paper, the basic white paper has some lint on it, and it kind of gets caught up in punches a little bit. I find it easier to punch designer series paper. All right, so let's go ahead and put my friend on this one. All right, and for good measure, I'm going to go ahead and do a couple. I mean, I know you guys are watching, and you know, we could do things faster, but you know what? Sometimes I'm just like, hey, I'm going to make a bunch of these. In fact, anybody that buys in the next 24 hours, let's say, this bundle from me, I will send you one of these cards, no matter how many I have to make. Right now, I have one person that bought the bundle, so I'm going to send them this card. And it doesn't have to, if you buy any part of the bundle. So even if you just buy the stamp set, we'll still get this card. Or if you just buy the punch. All right, any part of this bundle. All right, so let's do, now we're going to say hello. We're going to do hello. Leave this Misty Moonlight open because we need it, right? That's the one I was using. Leave that open. We need just, hello is in Magenta Madness, okay? That's why it's stained. Because when you have red, not red, but any kind of reddish stamps, they all sort of stain themselves and it's no big deal. Don't get your panties in a bunch, right? You like that expression? Over stained stamps because it doesn't affect them at all. And because there are bigger problems in the world, right? Than a stained stamp. It works just fine. So see what I'm doing? I'm just making a couple more. Then I will have them done and they'll be in my bucket of crafty goodness. You see? Which I've already started. Isn't that fun? Okay, so we already have it started. And we're going to do that. So now we have that done, but now the only other, I'm going to leave this open because we still need that for a moment. So before I we're going to need the Magenta Madness out. I want to just do the little bit of inking around the edges while I have this little bit of ink on here and while I have this open, and then I'm done with that color. Okay, so we're using 3 colors for this project, right? We're using Bumblebee, Magenta Madness, and Misty Moonlight. Okay, so that's what the 3 colors we're using. So while we have this out, we're going to take our blending brush. Any blending brushes, like dedicate like one to your sort of yellows. And then tap down there like that. See, tap a blob off. And then you're going to just get in there and sort of just ink around the edges a little bit. Leave the very middle white. The reason you have to do this, you don't have to do this. The reason you want to do it, okay, it'll be more professional, is because I'm going to be using this paper called Pattern Party. And we need this to make our bumblebee later. We're going to make our bumblebee after we make our, we'll open up this ink again later when we make our bumblebee. But it's kind of like oh, here it is. I can show you. Because you're putting this on a white striped background, you don't want it to just like sort of disappear onto the white and black stripes. So you kind of do this to the edges, and it gives it that little bit of dimension. So we're going to pop that over into my little bowl of stuff, and then we'll get back to these later. And so I'm just inking around them. And we will need this ink again to color the bumblebee, but I'll put some on a stamping block. Right now I'm just trying to use like the leftover from this stamp here. You know, there's just a little bit on the stamping block, see? So I can get those all inked up. And then I have these made, right? We got it made. Who's making ladybugs with me? All right. And see, I haven't even re-inked this, I mean, in a while. Look, it's like so much is like on there from the bumblebee. I'm trying not to get on the stamp itself because I don't want to smear the stamp. All right, so now we're done. We're good with this. We're done with the bumblebee for now. We got to make a bee later. We're making the bee. We got to do our ladybug first because you guys might just have got this set and you might be like, I've never played with the ladybug. Okay, so next, I also have a little sticker here with I meant to put this on it's seen better days here. We'll put that right here. I meant to put it on my little placemat. That's my Stampin' Up! Store if you want to get these things. And it's also linked in the description of the video. All right, let's do the wings in Magenta Madness. And we'll do, I'll do this little, I haven't forgot about him. In fact, I'm going to take this little guy off, the one that says my friend, putting that over here, and keep this little stamping block ready for him. We'll put him on the stamping block here. Put him there. We haven't forgot about him. We just need to get back to him later. And we need to get rid of this little hello thing. And we use a little baby. When you don't have time to go run to your sink and all this stuff, and I actually just wash my stamps in the sink later or with a Stampin' scrub. When you don't have time for all that, you just grab a baby wipe, and that's the quickest way. So now we need the wings of your ladybug, which again are stained, but we don't worry about it, right? We're going to put that down. Oops, we need a bigger stamping block. Okay, I'm going to grab a bigger stamping block. Here we go. Put the wings down, and we're going to go do. We're going to tap, 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 and stamp on here just to get a good image. All right, good. And now we're going to put this on there. And we just got to look at our punch for a moment before I get too far into this. So we only need to punch the wings right now because they're a new color. So we're going to face them down. So when I stamp it, I want to face it down. You'll see what I mean. Going to face it down. Right? And maybe I'll actually do this so I can save on paper. I don't like that one anyway. I'm going to stamp a bunch going across this way. See how it's getting better? Maybe you can't see that. I need to make a point about this because when you're stamping and you're like, oh, my images aren't as crisp, it's because you're not going to keep going. Like, the more you keep going, the better your images come out, actually. Okay, so watch what I do with these. I'm using kind of like a dull pair of scissors. Don't use your nice Stampin' Up! Paper snips for this little thing I'm showing you. When you're doing this, right, use your dull, not dull scissors, but use your scrappy scissors. I don't like that one. I'm going to cut right through it. But see, the first one, look at what happened when the first time. Well, down there it looked okay. Then look at all the dots. So if you ever get that, you're like, oh, look at all the dots. And then look at that big hole there. It's okay, though. I still like the second one. I can use that. But look how it got better over time. As the more I stamped it, the more ink got absorbed. And look how much better these got. So this one's like almost perfect. I say almost perfect. Only God's perfect, right? It's perfect for a stamp. All right, we're going to put the stamp. Now you see why I cut that little strip of paper. Because there's no sense. I'm going to go ahead and get this part in there. There's no sense cutting a big hole for the top part, right? And there is a way to make yourself a little template. You could have made yourself a little template if you're going to make the ladybug parts the same way. But in this case, I'm making the inside of the ladybug a different color than the outside of the ladybug. So I just really want to cut this part. So each time you have to do this little thing, you just got to chop this off. But leave yourself enough margin so that you get the little white part around the edges for your ladybug, right? Like you need that little white margin. So notice how I get in there with one hand and then I squeeze with two hands, see? You can just kind of watch how I do it. Never try to do it, oh, where's it go, right? I mean, I shouldn't have to tell you that, but when I teach the little kids how to use punches, they think of it as something they don't look at. And I'm like, no, you need to look. You know, you need to actually look at what you're punching in these kind of punches. But if I'm just giving them a heart punch, of course, I do want them to put it on the ground and use their legs. They have to use their legs, not their hands. Like if it's a kindergartner or something, they can use this punch, but not with their hands. I have them stamp on it with their legs. And it doesn't break, believe it or not. They can do it because it's really hard to squeeze this if you're not strong. So if you're not, if your muscles aren't developed yet. All right, and the last one. Here's the trick for the last one. So you have the last one, and let's grab a sticky note. This is my trick for the last one. Just get in there with a sticky note, like that. Just put it on a sticky note and get it in there, right? Because you can't, otherwise the paper gets lost in the punch. Let me put on my glasses here. All right, last one. So we have more than enough here. All right, good. And then just pull the sticky off there. All right, good. We got our wings. Stick all those wings in my bucket of crafty goodness because we'll assemble them in a little bit later with our glue dots. So now we need, we got all these cool wings. We got all these little scraps. All right, now we can use the Misty Moonlight ink. We can use it for the little dots, and we're going to use it for our ladybug. So let's take another stamping block, and let's do the bug itself. Okay, taking the bug, this bug, and sticking it flat side up. Okay, you have to get the bubbles out. Do you notice why I used a long block? It was just easier to get the bubbles. There's kind of like bubbles under there. You want to make it flat. And then you want to get in there with the ink. Let's get rid of this. Okay, done with that ink. Put that over there. I'm going to go tap, tap, tap. And I'm going to see. And it's pretty good coverage. So now we need, that's not big enough. We should have scraps of paper ready. Okay, I had scraps of paper ready. So what I want to do for this one, I was doing some things called the All Together. You guys might recognize these dies I was using. So these are like extra scraps. So let's see if we can't just kind of use that. Okay, so we're going to put some, all right, again, look at your ladybug punch and go, which way? Okay, which way? The antenna need to go that way. Okay, and the first one might not be as good as the next one. So we'll tilt, actually here, let's just do this. See, it's still not quite all covered yet, but they get better over time. We'll put that in there. Ah, pretty good. I like the little ombre effect too. All right, let's get in there. And, oops, got to get that little part off. And we want to get in there with the antenna, not to cut the antenna off. This time you want to squeeze a little. Squeeze it, but don't squeeze all the way down. Squeeze it a little to get it to stay still before you remove your other hand. Okay, so I have it. It's good. It's just kind of how I roll. I just squeeze it. And all I'm really worried about is the antenna. Once the antenna, or antennae, plural, are in there, boom, you got the ladybug. Put it in your bucket of crafty goodness, right? So we got to keep making ladybugs. We got to make at least, let's make at least 3. I'm making 2 cards, but let's make at least 3 ladybugs. Okay, we need to put that in there. I wasn't sure where it was going to fit on the paper, but so I did the one first. Put that in there. Leave this. Don't chop this off. It's your handle. It's your handle to get into there in the punch. You can throw it away later, but always leave these little parts sticking out to help you use them as a guide or a handle. Or use the sticky note trick I showed you. All right. Dun, dun, dun. Another perfect, pretty close to perfect ladybug. All right, let's see if we can't get one out of this little scrap. That'll be my handle. And then here is my handle, here is my spout. Let's see. I hope I have a big enough handle. All right, if not, I may have to get in there with the... Yep, I got to use the sticky note trick. Stick it on there, just like that. And the reason I say sticky note and not glue or anything is like, you know, sticky notes don't gunk up your punches, right? They don't really mess up your punches, and you can always peel them right off. Okay, line up the antenna. All right, I'm happy with my 3 ladybugs. I have more than enough because I need one for each card. Plus I made some earlier to make sure we had enough. All right, so now we need our Misty Moonlight while we're here. And we need to put our little dots all over our card. Just sort of, you know, randomly around the card. Just to give it, I'm trying to tie in these colors. I'm tying in the bumblebee with the bumblebee. The Misty Moonlight with these dots. The Misty Moonlight with these and this. You see? 1, 2, 3, 4 times you're going to see Misty Moonlight on this card. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm doing with it. So we'll just kind of randomly, I wasn't doing an odd number or everything. You know, usually I tell you, oh, put odd numbers. The reason I don't really worry about the number of these is because some of them are getting covered over anyway with the sentiments down here. So I was starting to count the numbers earlier, but then I realized like they get covered over. Let me find that little piece I had. There's that little piece. Okay. And there's going to be a little sentiment that covers it. All right, somewhere over there. So good enough. Maybe one down there. Huh, okay. Yeah, maybe there. Okay, good. Now let's do some on this one. You don't need the mat for this. This is not a sentiment. This is just little blobs. And whenever you have problems with your little blobs, you just sort of put embellishments on them. I mean, really, that's all there is to it. You put ribbon, bling, embellishments. Somewhere there'll be a sentiment down here. Let's see. Put this there. Okay, good. All right, now we need, let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 times we used that. We've done our ladybug. All we need left is the one color of ink, which we're bringing back. We're bringing back this. So now we need to get out the paper, and we do need our trimmer, a little bit of our trimmer for this. Okay, I knew I had the trimmer for a reason. I was like, I didn't prepare everything ahead of time. So I have some paper called Pattern Party Designer Series paper, which is just amazing. It has stripes on it already. Now, if you have this paper called Abstract Beauty, I didn't get this out ahead of time, guys. I have to dig through my Pattern Party. All right, so there's something called Abstract Beauty, and in there's some gold stripe paper. It's just not black and white. So anyway, this Pattern Party is a host. It's a host stamp. No, not a stamp set. It's a host reward, and you get 48 sheets in a pack. There's a couple packs in this plastic thing. By the way, Hobby Lobby's awesome. I get these these things to put my paper in. They're like a foot by, 12 inches by 12 inches, and they're really thick. And I could put a few packs of paper in it. Like, it'll hold like 100 sheets of paper. I'm just trying to find the one that has the stripes on it, because I used it up earlier. And it has, here it is. I think it's this one with the hearts. Okay, so on one side is the hearts. Anyway, you get 48 sheets in a pack, 4 of each. So if you get the pack of Pattern Party as your rewards when you're shopping with me, then you can get this paper, 48 sheets in a pack, 4 of each sheet, double-sided. One side is black and white. I put it in all my kits too. So those of you that got my Abstract Beauty kit, link in the description, you're going to be able to get this paper. Okay, let's first do this. Let's first put let's do 5/8 of an inch for this part so we don't get any ink on it, okay? 5/8 of an inch. We need a little stripe here. And let's start mounting the card together so we make sure everything's right. All right, good. See, this is how the card's going to look. So 5/8 of an inch by 4, right? 4. You can get 3 of these out of one sheet, so. All right, let's get the glue. Let's adhere this to this. Right, we're going to put this one on this part on the right side. Just lay that over there for a moment. Okay, and I'm doing this first because, oh look, some ink got on this one. Some weird blotches of ink got on there. So when that happens, do not despair. Just go like this. Put some ink on there on purpose. It's all good. I'll just put a couple blobs of ink on there because it looks like some ink got on there. See? No big deal. All right, and so just go with it, and you know, if you get a blob of something, just add more ink. All right, where's this piece? We're going to add a piece here. Some glue. I'm doing this with glue because it's an embossing folder, and that way the glue can sort of seep into the nooks and crannies there. You could, this probably looks more like a hive, right? This probably looks more like a beehive, but you know what? That's all good. I'm using the raised side because I want to use the raised side. And you know what? There's no wrong way to do something in crafting, so I can do whatever I want because it's my card. All right, and so you can do whatever you want. Use whichever side you want. And then we have, see if we have any more pieces of this. Only because I have another piece of the 2.5 by, remember, right? 2.5 by 4. Chooped. I just want to glue that third piece before I lose it, or before I go, oh, why did I cut this piece out? Why do I have this, right? Why do I have all these little scraps around? That's why I'm just doing it now. And because I like to show you that I always make 2 cards at once if I can, or 3 cards at once. I always just do everything sort of mass production. That's just how I roll. All right, so there you go. So now that's that. So I put it there just so it lines up easier. And then I'm going to put this on the card itself. I'm going to use glue for that too, but I'll use rolling adhesive back there. So we'll use glue. I don't need to use so much glue, but you know what? I don't want it to kind of fall into the nooks and crannies and slip away. I'm going to put this side that way. So I like to use my little ledges of my, here, actually more like this. I like to use the ledges. There's a ledge here and a ledge there when I'm lining up card pieces like that. And then if it hangs over the edge, I just cut it. So it looks like it could hang over the edge a little bit, like depending on, you know, how I cut this one. See, it hangs over. And that's with it being perfectly aligned. So then you use your paper snips. That's your only choice. You can't use your thick scissors for this. You got to use your paper snips to cut off. There's just those little details, right? Wanted to make it perfectly aligned. All right, where's the other piece? Bumblebee. Bumblebee. All right, and maybe we'll do one in Just Jade and we'll do one in Magenta Madness. We'll see. I'm going to see if I like the Just Jade. I haven't tried that one yet. I have 2 Magenta Madness cards in case. Yep, that one was off. And that's because when I was making these embossing pieces in the first place, I cut them slightly bigger because when you emboss them, they shrink a little, but now I want them to be back the regular size. All right, so we have our pieces, and now let's mount them onto, let me find the glue lid. We're going to use our seal, but in this case I have some fast fuse, and so if this doesn't look familiar to you, don't worry about it. It's not really seal, but in case you guys have some old fast fuse laying around, your fast fuse will fit inside your snail container, your seal container, I mean. Fast fuse and snail are the older ones, and I just kind of used my old refills in this new cases, and they work fine. I like these cases better. So I'm putting the card there. Notice how it opens up. I want it to open up this way, right? And you'd put the same size matting inside, like the same 4 inches by 5 1/4. See that? See how it helps you line it up when you use the corners of your paper trimmer? Alrighty, let's try those other cards. Let's try the Just Jade. Yeah, I like it. I'm okay with it. It's one of the in colors, but does it open the right way? Yes, it opens the right way. I'm going to go with the Just Jade. All right, we're going to go for it. So Magenta Madness would have worked, right? We have Cinnamon Cider would have worked as the card base. Don't use this one because then it would have been like this color next to that color. Like don't use Misty Moonlight for the card base because it's not going to work. But any of the 5 in colors are going to work. You have 5 in colors, right? So the reason I'm using Just Jade is because I really only have the choice of using Magenta Madness, Just Jade, or Cinnamon Cider because I don't want to touch that color to the same color in the background. Let's move that out of the way. I'll show you how Cinnamon Cider would have looked because I have a piece laying right there. Okay, that's good. Okay, so now we didn't have to make another card, right? Because I didn't have to make his eye hat. But see, that would have looked okay. Where's my... See, it's just another color that coordinates. Alrighty, we are rocking and rolling. We're not going to do the wobble springs and the sentiment just yet. We're going to make our bee. So we need the only other measurement. So this one is going to be for the bumblebee, right? And the basic white. So you need a basic white for the inside. So I'm just going to say, so you're going to do that twice, right? I'm not making the inside right now, but you're going to be cutting another piece for the inside that's 5 1/4 by 4. So the only other thing we did was we did the strip. We did the 5/8 of an inch. Actually, it was 1 inch. Let's do it this way. Let's put it over here. 1, and we're going to do, let me write that one. 1 times 5/8. I got to do length times width. 5/8 equals pattern party DSP. So far that's all we cut. So party DSP. So that's what, oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't 5/8. It was 4 inches by, not 1 inch. Sorry. 4 inches by 5/8, right? 4 inches by 5/8. That's all we did so far. Okay, now this piece is an extra piece. All right, so there we go. We need to make our bee. We need this piece. Okay, so we need this piece. Now let's look at the bee. The bee is going to go like that, so kind of like that. You have 2 choices. You can color it afterwards or color it first and then punch a bunch out. Right? I found it was easier to color while this paper is intact. That's my own personal opinion. So I'm putting this paper down. Here, let's not get color all over the paper because we might want to use the paper for something else. So let's make ourselves a little piece of paper, right? So we have a piece of paper that we can color. So let's put down the mat here. And we're going to open up the bumblebee. And I'm just kind of reverse engineering the card I'm going to show you later to see how she did it. And her name's Hattie. Hattie is my upline. And she made a card in our swap that had a bee on it. And I was like, I got to make a bee. So I took out my bumblebee ink and I started coloring. See? Like this. And I said, oh my gosh, I love the way this is coming out. Bumblebee is a perfect color for a bee. So I just kind of colored and colored. And I made my bee. And I like how it came out. So I said, I'm going to do an Ink It Up tutorial on this. So let's look at the color of the bee. See if it's the right color. It could be a little darker. So we want it to be as like, kind of like, because it's supposed to match the cardstock, right? That's the great thing about our Stampin' Up! Products is how they coordinate. So, gotta love how the colors coordinate. So we just keep on going here. We can get a couple out of this one. We can always color it some more after we punch it out. All right, now let's find the punch. And we're going to get in there and make some bees. Okay, I'm turning it around this way so I don't waste this. See, I don't want to waste the part. I don't need the wings to be like that, right? So let's not waste that part. Turn your paper this way, right? So, because all you need to cut out is this part. Okay, one little trick for making a bunch of these bees is I'm going to be cutting off the head anyway. So one little thing that helped me was making the little neck. It's not a neck because it's an insect, right? It's not a neck. But you see, if I go like this and I make the line go kind of right there, then I can cut off the head easy. You'll see what I mean in a minute when I cut off the head. But you see what I mean? I got to cut off the head, so I already have a line right where the head is going to be. Nifty trick, huh? Okay, so let's do that again. All right, this one, this one, this one. All right, good. And when you can't get your punch out, because it's just kind of punch your way out of this situation, like that. See what I mean? When it starts getting all that yucky stuff, just kind of punch your way out of it and pull your punch out. So the only thing I might need to do is like get a little bit of ink on that, unless I want an ombre bee. It's a little ombre. So I could get a little more ink over there. But I just found it was easier to color while the paper was like a big piece of paper. And it's just easier to color it. It's kind of harder to color this when it's like that. So now we're going to chop the heads off. Doesn't that sound bad? We're chopping the heads off our bees. All right. So like that, you're chopping your head off your bee. Okay. Chopping the head off the bee. But see, where I punched it right along the line, it made it easy to chop the head off, right? And we are now done with that color of ink. Okay, so now we need black cardstock. So get your scraps. Okay, here's my scrap. I made the Ladybug. I'm going to show you my Ladybug purses that I made with the ScanNCut at the end of this. So this is like a scrap from my Ladybug purse. We're going to get in there and punch a whole bee, okay, in black cardstock. Okay, we'll actually do a couple of them. And where's my junky scissors? Junky scissors. All right, I can't find them, so I'm just going to go like that. I'm going to get another one. Okay, and another one. All right, so I have a few bees here. So now what we want to do is we're going to glue. Oh, well, first we'll put the tail on. We need a tail, and then we'll put it on here. So we'll put that on there, but I want to put a little tail sticking out the back. So let's take this, and for the tail, I just made a triangle. That's all. That's the little stinger. So just cut a triangle out of the cardstock. Okay, one stinger. Let's do here. Another stinger. Okay, so there's the little stingers. And we're going to glue those. Before I glue this onto there, I just glue that onto the bottom. Now let's see where it'll go. Like that. Yeah, there you go. Okay, and then you want some glue on this one. All right. Well, that's a pretty long stinger. Let's push the stinger. It's okay. It can be a long stinger. It's on a different card, right? So the stinger, and I don't even know if honeybees have stingers. Do honeybees have stingers? Someone find out if honeybees even have stingers. It doesn't have to be a honeybee, though. You know what? It'll just be a bee that stings. He can still be friends with a ladybug, right? Because they're friends together. They're coming on the same card together, so they can be friends, even though one stings. All right, now this one. Okay, let's put the little tail on there. I guess they would sting because you know what? I always hear about people trying to get honey out of the hive and getting stung. So they would sting. I'm putting the stinger under this one and then I'm putting it together. I was listening to a podcast episode recently and I heard a story about, okay, the females only are the ones that have stingers, Terry? Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that. But there was this podcast I was listening to. And it was, I don't know if you guys know Tim Ferriss. He wrote the 4-Hour Workweek. He's just such a cool dude. He has like this really cool podcast. And he had this guy on there the other day. And he talked about growing up at a safari lodge in Africa. And he got stung by bees in a beehive. Like, it was a crazy story. And he was with a guy that was getting honey out of the hive. So anyway, yeah, they do sting. But all right, so that's the bee. But we are not done yet. We need to have really cool wings for our bee. And what better way to get wings than to use vellum cardstock? Okay, vellum cardstock. Let me still see if you get those measurements. Okay, let's get the piece of vellum. This is, we sell this in packages of, it's 8.5 by 11 cardstock. Okay, let's get in there. I guess we're gonna have to get in there and sort of chop off a piece so I don't chop too much. Let me find the, I know I have the junky scissors around somewhere. Oh well, we'll just use my good scissors. We don't want to make anybody wait all day, so we're just gonna use this. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm just getting in there to make some wings. Because I don't need to cut the vellum out of the other part, right? I only need to cut the vellum for the wings. So that's why I'm cutting a little strip of vellum cardstock. And I thought these might look neat embossed as well, the little wings. Okay, it's pretty cool, right? Translucent wings. When you emboss vellum, you can see the white parts come out of it, which is pretty cool too. So I thought, oh, that would look neat as, like, I was thinking the gingham embossing photo would be nice for the wings. All right, now we're ready to assemble with, wait for it, the cutest little glue dot box ever from my friend Kathy. And she was there when I showed this yesterday on my video when I showed the swaps. She was one of the ones who gave me swaps. She made this cute little glue dot box. So what we're going to do is we're going to put glue dots on our wings, both the vellum wings and the wings with ink. So that's how I was attaching the wings. Now I know I have a lot of stuff on my hands, and that's why I'm doing these first, because like whatever you do, it gets all over vellum. Like vellum gets ink all over it and everything. So I'm putting 2 glue dots on it. Hopefully I won't put ink on my vellum. So it's easier to attach glue dots when you put the medium to the glue dot as opposed to the other way around. And sometimes you have to rub a little to be able to get this to peel off easy. All right, good. So there's my 2 dots. And we're going to put that on one of my bugs. Okay, so here's our cute ladybug. Yay! See how it's all coming together? I didn't want to leave any steps out. All right, there's the ladybug, and now we got to put some wings. All right, let's see. Finding the glue dots. Finding the vellum. See, so I'm just putting a couple dots on here. And they're kind of translucent, which is why I decided to use glue dots. Glue doesn't usually work good on vellum. There's me staining the... Glue doesn't work good on vellum because glue gets like stained and stuff through there, but they do make vellum adhesive, and sometimes I recommend that to people, but we'll just do this way. I mean, it really looks like a realistic bee with the vellum on it like that, right? So cool. All right, now we got to do this one. Glue dots. All right, I think it's like, let's get rid of some of this. Oh, there's one. Sometimes when I throw them away, there's something on there. These are from Stampin' Up. They're called the mini, hey, what are they called? Mini glue dots. Mini glue dots. So it's just, they're just in a cute box. So not only did she give me a cute box, she gave me the glue dots in the box. So that was such a cool gift. Okay, let's put that on there. Okay. Okay, so you know what? It would have been better. This is good to know. Note to self, you can't see it through the bumblebee stripe, but you can sort of see it through the black stripe. Can I put the wings back further? No. The wings don't look good back further, but what I can do, wait for it. Okay, a little trick in case you cut the wings in a weird spot. It's the glue dots. We're going to put them on this part, on the yellow part, on the bumblebee part, because then you can't see through them. Okay, you'll see what I mean, because you could just see the dots right through the black part. Come on, get down there. Get down on it. Come on. This is why, like when you have stuff all over your hands, I should have probably done this part first, right? Because when you have stuff all over your hands, it's hard to make things. And I'm usually not a fan of glue dots, but glue dots on a, sometimes the only thing you can use for things. And, oh, you know what? The ink is still wet. That's why. I put so much ink on that one. The ink is still wet. All right. Good enough. But see, you can't see them now. Because in a minute ago when I had them, the glue dots through the black part, you could see them sticking out. Awesome. We got our little bees. We got our little bugs. Let's see if I already have one done. I have one from earlier. Magic of television, right? All right, so now we just assemble them on our card. We're going to do one card with the wobble springs and one card without, right? This is the wobble springs. In case you're just tuning in, see, that's the wobble spring. All right, so we need the little part for this. We already have the sentiments done. And this will be really quick to assemble. We already have these little cute parts done, right? Hello, my friend. Hello, my friend. So we need to take the oval punch and go like this. Let's do it this way. We'll do it this way to get the most out of the stripes. Notice how I'm trying to get the black parts to be there. So the black parts, then it just kind of contrasts better with the paper when you put the black stripes on the top. So you could also ink around the edges if you wanted to, but it doesn't really matter. If you want to, you can. Never hurts, really. But we don't really need to contrast between this and that. We only need to contrast between the white part and the black and white stripe part. So I'm using dimensionals, Stampin' dimensionals on this part, and then the other part I'm putting straight on with seal, or should I say fast fuse, the old stuff. Using the old one, not the new one. All right, so before I adhere it all, you need to kind of test it and go, okay, where's it all going to go? So let's look, and we say, all right, we're going to, okay, let's see. If that's going to be there and this is going to be there, see, you have to have enough room for everything. So sort of, I'll cover up one of those little dots. Now I'll cover up two of the dots. Okay, so it's going to go right there. Okay, so always kind of place your objects where you sort of want them to go before you put your sentiment down. Okay, Stampin' dimensionals. Okay, and then we're going to put our little bee on this part because he's on the hive. The bee is coming out of the hive. And that's why I put him on the hive part of the card. And he's talking to his friend, so I put his little antenna on the white part. Notice how that way you could see his little antenna sticking out a little bit over the white part. It's just better for contrast. Okay, one card is done. And now we wobble the other card. So we'll just do this part. We're not wobbling the sentiment. Just wobbling the bee and the ladybug. Where'd it go? It just flew somewhere. There it goes. All right, so this is going to go there. This is going to go there. Okay, this will go there. See, I like this. I like this stamp better with the flower sort of sticking out from behind this sentiment. Okay, wobbles. There is a bag, not a bag. There's a link to wobbles. They're called wobble action springs, and there's these big ones that, of course, they're not going to fit behind there, right? The big ones. You have to use the mini wobble springs. So make sure when you buy the wobble springs, if you're going to buy them, using my link, supports my channel, make sure you get the mini wobble springs, not the big ones, the mini ones. The big ones work with like the dinosaurs and some bigger critters. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the hard plastic part and I'm putting the ladybug on that part, and then I'm peeling off the thin plastic part. Okay. So I put the hard part on the actual critter itself. Okay, let's put him there. He's kind of pointing down at his little friend, the bee. He's pointing down there. Okay, and then you have to push down. Did I have him overlapping? He's overlapping. Okay. Boing! love it. Oops, I got some glue dots under there pulling on my card. But here, boing, boing, boing. This is why glue dots and me have a love-hate relationship, because they get it all over everything. That was the funniest somebody posted in, like, I think it was the Paper Punk fan club. They posted their dog got into their glue dots. It was hilarious. The dog had glue dots all over their face. I'm like, I feel like that dog, because every time I use them, they stick all over the place. So I put the hard part on there. See the little spring? So it looks cute with or without the spring. I hope you're giving this a try, even without, just with your dimensionals. And he's pointing at his friend, and his little antenna sticking out over the white part. Boing. Boing, boing, boing. All right, let me say hi, and then I'm going to show you my projects, and then I'm done. And we did it in an hour, less than, which was my goal. I always try to do that. That's always a goal, but we sometimes do it. Oh, Diana, you were here before I got here. Hello, Diana. Melissa, Jade. Oh, she's going to miss those colors, she's saying. Melissa's saying she's going to miss the new in colors. Yep, you got to get them while you can, because as soon as they announce they're retiring, which I just announced, they're going to announce it in April officially, and they're going to say, all these things are retiring, and then people go frenzy over it, and like within a week, like usually all the cardstock is gone, and then the ink goes, and they don't make more of it, and then you're like, SOL, I don't need more ink, but it's always good to get the little re-inkers. I mean, I don't need more ink pads, but the re-inkers. Anyway, let's get through all the names, and then I'm going to show you this. Okay, Net, Denise, Diana, or Diane, different Dianes. Okay, does anyone know if they ever have a sale on the individual stamp pads? Once in a while, but it's very rare because it's our staple items. It's just like basic white, hardly ever goes on sale. So right now, the only things on sale this month are the mini cut and emboss machine, which is 20% off, and a bunch of bundles. There's like a dozen bundles that are on sale. You'll see them. The prices are crossed out, and it'll show you. Hi, Betty. Hi, Linda. Thank you, Linda. Thanks, Diana. Diana's congratulating me. I forgot to say, thank you, guys. I should have said that at the beginning of my video. My channel just reached 32,000 subscribers. So thank you, Diana. Thank you, Gloria. Judy. I'm not using the ScanNCut during this live, but I'm going to show you here. I could show you that now. Carolyn's asking if I'm going to use the ScanNCut. No, but I made these with the ScanNCut, and I figured since it's our Ladybug video, I would show you these. I made these Ladybugs as one of the projects built into Canvas Workspace, and in my recent course called Spring Projects with the ScanNCut, coupon is in the description of this video. You can learn how to make these purses with the ScanNCut. It's one of the built-in projects, and it's one of the simple things I showed in that course. I also showed you how to design your own boxes and baskets from scratch using Canvas Workspace. So coupons are good till the 15th, and I'll generate coupons again at the end of March and post them in my ScanNCut user group, which is probably linked in here. Not sure. All right, thanks, Terry. Yvonne. Okay, good. Honeybees and bumblebees have stingers. Thank you for the biology stuff. Okay, good. I'm more of a marine biology person, not anything about insects. Hello, Linda. I just saw you too in the other groups. It's kind of fun how we're all catching each other in different groups. Yvette. All right, so inside these little things I got these from the Dollar Tree during Valentine's Day. Thank you, Yvonne. And I put these in there with some other treats, like I wrap in designer series paper. These are little bookmarks, Ladybug bookmarks. All right, now for the cards that inspired me. If you missed my video yesterday, where I showed all kinds of swaps, I probably showed 20 projects of my swaps and Happy Mail. These were featured in there, and I just want to point out how this inspired me and why and what parts and what I did with it. So first, let's give credit where credit is due. This one was created by Hattie Walker Nelson. Honeybee Stampers. Of course, Honeybee Stampers, right? Perfect for this. She is at honeybeestampers.com, and she's my upline. That means that she's my team leader. And she had a swap in a group that she has called the Beehive. And in her swap, she made this as part of her swap. And she also made other things which I showed you. Like I think I showed you this other little thing she put in with the swap. So when I saw this, I was like, well, now I got to start playing with my thing. So she used this embossing folder the opposite direction than I did, which is awesome. I mean, that looks more like a beehive. She did tone-on-tone stamping, meaning bumblebee on bumblebee. So I got that inspiration from, oh, where'd that little dot come from? I was like, where'd that come from? So I found it. It was in the stamp set. I'm like, okay, that's the little dots. She used the same color I used. She used the Pattern Party Designer Series paper. She used a little stripe here. She used some black matte dots as her embellishment. She used vellum here for the wings. She even did a little tail. The difference is she used this one here. It's called Stitch So Sweetly dies. And she did this whole thing going on with the layers. And she did this bee card. So that's what I got inspired by. But then I got inspired by this other card at the same time. I'm like, well, it's cute to have a bee, but I don't want to just have a bee because it's the Ladybug Builder Punch. People want to see ladybugs, and I want to see ladybugs, and I like ladybugs. And ladybugs remind me of my aunt. So I was inspired by this card. So I'm kind of doing what I'm doing right now. And this, by making this card I just showed you, was showing you my take on these two cards combined. So that's what's called casing. It's not really casing because I didn't copy it at all. But it's kind of just drawing inspiration from other cards. Because for this one, made by, let's give credit where credit is due. Okay, this one is, I should have put the sticker better. I like how they have a stamp with their name on it. I think I need to do that. Okay, this is Susan Edwards, Busy with the Cricky, Cheerful Stamping Crickets. Okay, so she has a cricket, or Busy with the Cricky Productions, it's called, on Facebook. She has a Facebook page. And I love how she used the border dies. She used, I'm pretty sure it's the border dies. She used the gingham embossing folder. She did a flick technique. There's a flick. She flicked paint onto the back of the card. She used all these cool colors for her ladybugs. And I was like, ladybugs can be all different colors. So I was inspired by all her colorful ladybugs. And I wanted to put a ladybug and bee together. I was inspired by Hattie's bee and Susan's colored ladybugs and came up with this card as a result of those two cards. And then it's completely uniquely my own, but of course, feel free to use it as much as you guys want. But feel free to make them as well. If you make theirs, though, be sure you give them credit, you know, when you make somebody else's card. Exactly, but if you're just making a take on it, then go for it. All right, so I'm thinking I like the Magenta Madness better, but the Just Jade is fine too, and it's going to go well because it's coordinating colors. Let me know if you like it better with the wobbles or no wobbles, and better with Magenta Madness or Just Jade. So we have cards here that we made today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And notice how everyone is slightly different. Let me see if there are any questions. And I'm signing off. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Gloria. And the Delight Girl from Virginia. Well, now you get to see, I'm glad you guys got to see like how to use this stamp set in other ways. I mean, it gave me, just so you got an idea, like as I was doing this, I had ideas like, should I emboss the wings? But then I'm like, no, because you can't really see the glue dots. And if you wanted to hide the glue dots more, you could emboss the wings. I also said, maybe I could use the kiss technique and add some texture to the ladybug. And then the ladybug didn't really need texture. So there's other techniques I could have applied to this, but I just thought, you know, this is my take on it. So you do like it with the wobbles. Cool. All right. Thank you all for watching. This is the Paper Chef, and we'll see you again real soon.